Welcome, my fellow monkeys, to the pilot episode of A Martian Mind. I'm your host, RJ Hillen, an undergrad in space studies with a concentration in aerospace sciences. Today, we're taking a shallow dive into a topic that's as controversial as it is fascinating: humanity's potential to colonize the galaxy. It might sound far-fetched, especially since we're just now preparing to return to the moon, but stick with me. By the end of this episode, you might start to see things a little differently. Now, this podcast mainly came about due to the UAP wildfire that has taken our lonely little planet by storm. I've been thinking a lot about it, and honestly, I'm disappointed with how it's been handled on every side. You have the true believers, accepting every alleged event uncritically. Then there are the extreme skeptics who think that they can debunk anything, even footage confirmed by the Pentagon. In many ways, these two sides are the same coin, both making equally outlandish claims. At the end of the day, however, no one in good faith can deny that UFOs or UAP exist. And they have existed for a very, very long time. So what's my take? I'm aiming to bring a new approach to the UAP topic, its history, and its investigation. If the study of UAP is to be brought into the mainstream for true scientific study, we must first adapt our process and hypotheses to fit the data that's available, no matter how limited or clouded it may be. Let's talk about the Fermi paradox. It's the elephant in the room whenever you discuss UFOs or aliens. And most people familiar with this topic already know about the paradox's history and how it's usually the starting point of these discussions. But I'm not going to dive deep into it, because in my opinion, it's flawed. In fact, the logic surrounding UAP on both sides, frankly, is flawed. Here's why. For starters, the Fermi paradox assumes that we primitive monkeys would even be capable of detecting or noticing an advanced alien species. Odds are, if they were close enough for us to see them, they would have known about our existence for a very long time, and would undoubtedly take measures to ensure we do not see them. Why? Well, we may be primitive, but that doesn't mean we aren't a threat. The dark forest hypothesis highlights this best, where xenophobic fears could lead a species of roughly our technological level into banding together to build a railgun and to fire relativistic projectiles at the nearest inhabited system. Maybe this mega project would fail, or maybe the flame of fear would be fanned by politicians for generations to the point where a different, more devastating weapon we can't even imagine would be created to launch a preemptive strike. Stealth and covert actions are the bedrock to modern-day deterrence, warfare, and geopolitics. Who's to say that trend stops with the atmosphere? In general, my issue with the Fermi paradox is that it ultimately shines a very unique light on life on Earth. And as a student navigating the academic cosmos, I've observed a paradox within the hallowed halls of mainstream science. Despite centuries of milestones, there seems to be a single lesson from the universe that often goes unheeded. We are not special. Many scientists nod in agreement, yet curiously, they pivot to theories like the rare Earth hypothesis, which, at its core, and even in the title, proclaims our planet's exceptionalism. It's a hypothesis that seems to almost defy the Copernican principle, placing Earth back at the center, draped in a cloak of cosmic significance. But let's juxtapose this with the relentless march of discoveries recently made. Amino acids in comets and asteroids, water in the shadowed craters of the moon and Mars and asteroids, microbial stowaways thriving on the exterior of the International Space Station, and tantalizing biosignatures found within Martian rock. Each discovery chips away at the pedestal our planet has been placed upon. To assert Earth's exclusivity in the face of all these findings is, to put it mildly, incongruous. The notion stretches beyond Earth to encompass our biology as well. The universality of DNA's double helix among all known life forms whispers not of our singularity, but of a shared, universal language of life. It seems that every corner of the cosmos is whispering the same truth. Life is not an earthly privilege, but a cosmic inevitability. By clinging to the idea that Earth is a solitary oasis in a desert of barren worlds, we risk anchoring ourselves to a flawed premise. It's time to lift the anchor and set sail on a sea of stars, rich with the promise of discovery. For if the universe has taught us anything, it's that the extraordinary is often more ordinary than we dare to believe. And before we transition to the next section, where I briefly discuss the probability of humanoid life, I wanted to highlight a paper written by Sharov and Gordon. In essence, they apply Moore's law, famous for understanding the exponential growth of technology, or shrinking of technology. We'll go into that later. That's not important. By applying Moore's law to genetic complexity, however, we are met with a startling implication. That the complexity we see in DNA requires a longer period of time to develop than what's available from Earth alone. This is a theoretical extrapolation, and it is not widely accepted in the scientific community. But then again, the scientific community didn't widely accept that planets existed around other stars until very recently in the history of science. That should have been blatantly obvious, I'm just saying. Alright, anyway, take the skeptic's argument that humanoid bipedal aliens would be impossible to evolve naturally on other worlds due to the various differences in evolutionary paths and environmental conditions. They say it's because of our inability to imagine anything else that we could recognize as intelligent or alive, that we see and have seen gray aliens and other humanoid life basically throughout all of human history. But hey, nobody tell these folks about kangaroos. Bipedal and intelligent in their own right, if the odds of humanoid life evolving are so rare, then how do we explain their existence? Or the existence of multiple bipedal dinosaur species that we know to have existed? This leads me to think that maybe, just maybe, the evolution of life isn't as unpredictable as we think it may be. I am, of course, talking about convergent evolution, something widely accepted by the scientific community. It refers to the process where organisms not closely related independently evolve similar traits as a result of having to adapt to similar conditions, environments, or ecological niches. This concept explains how different species can develop similar characteristics despite their distinct evolutionary paths. Convergent evolution is a fundamental concept in evolutionary biology and is supported by numerous examples across various species. Because of this, I have no doubt that alien life would at least feel familiar to us, because if carbon-based life exists on any other planet, it won't be reinventing the wheel. But what if the reason we see humanoid figures in UAP sightings is more than a lack of imagination or convergent evolution? What if it's a reflection of the evolution of technological species and life itself? What do I mean by that? Well, let's push the boundaries a bit further. What if the key to colonizing the galaxy is already within our grasp? Advanced AI, sublight propulsion, and genetic engineering technology like CRISPR. Combine all of these, and you could have drones scouting habitable worlds, subtly guiding the evolution of local species to resemble humans. It bypasses the logistical nightmare of transporting colonists and supplies across interstellar distances. It's a slow, guided evolution instead, creating a galaxy filled with diverse, locally adapted life. This hypothesis sheds new light on why extraterrestrial life might even care about us. We could be their siblings, or the equivalent of their offspring. A newly budding colony on the verge of joining the pre-existing spacefaring civilization. It could also explain why intelligent life is often depicted as humanoid, each colony molded from an original blueprint. It resonates with religious myths as well. The idea of beings created in someone's image. Are these myths just distant echoes of an ancient interstellar truth? as we stand on the brink of becoming a spacefaring civilization ourselves, and of achieving these three technologies. These questions become even more relevant. Will we extend our species across the stars? Or will we choose isolation? And the biggest question of all, if we are considering these possibilities now, has someone else already implemented a solution? This is more than a thought experiment. It's a challenge to our understanding of life and our future or place in the cosmos. As we continue to exist in a state where we believe ourselves to be the only spark of intelligent life in the galaxy, what might we do if we were faced with an existential threat? Would we attempt to keep humanity alive through a Hail Mary colony on a dead or dying world? Or would we seed as many planets as possible with the necessary blueprint for life to persist, no matter what? If this turned out to be true, then it would profoundly affect everything we knew about our species, and it would shatter our concept of what it means to be human. New, bigger questions would also arise. Who started the process? Who seeded the galaxy with life? And where are they now? A big factor when it comes to any hypothesis in regard to UAP, their intention, or their origin, an important factor must be considered. Why is there still secrecy? And I don't know about you, but I can't imagine a single nation, or even a coalition of governments, coming together to admit to the people of planet Earth that an advanced non-human intelligence has been and is continuing to alter the genetic profile of our species when we have no way or means to monitor or stop it, let alone understand it. If you've enjoyed this exploration of new possibilities, let me know. Like, subscribe, and share your thoughts on your respective platforms. True science thrives on a community collaboration. Join me next time as we attempt to reformulate our approach to UAP research and experimental science. Thank you for spending a part of your day inside a Martian mind. Keep pondering these musings, and don't forget to look up. The answers might just be waiting there. Until next time.